There's something special about a great single-player game. No servers to worry about, no teammates raging at you, just you, a controller, and a world built to pull you in for hours. The good news? We're spoiled for choice right now. So today, we're breaking down 30 single-player games you absolutely have to play.
Let those left behind find hope in his sacrifice.
Let's start with the game that proved superhero titles could be genuine masterpieces. Batman Arkham Knight is the explosive finale to Rocksteady's legendary Arkham trilogy, and even years later, nothing has come close to topping it. You are Batman, not controlling Batman, you are him. The free-flow combat is so smooth and satisfying that every brawl feels like a perfectly choreographed fight scene, and gliding through a rain-soaked, neon-lit Gotham still looks jaw-dropping today. I mean, the atmosphere is unmatched. The story digs deep into Batman's psyche, with Mark Hamill delivering one of the all-time great Joker performances. It's dark, it's twisted, and it goes places you won't see coming. Now the honest part, there are a few too many Batmobile sections, and some folks found them overused. But even with that, the sheer craft on display here is undeniable. So if you've ever wanted to feel like the world's greatest detective, this is the game that delivers it better than anything else. Superhero fan or not, this is an absolute must-play.
This is how the Batman died.
Clawing your way back from death's door.
Up next, we got one of the most ambitious open-world games we've seen in years. Crimson Desert dropped in March, and it's the kind of game that makes you stop and just stare at your screen. You play as Cliff, a mercenary navigating the brutal medieval world of Pyrrol, a map so massive it's estimated to be roughly twice the size of Skyrim. Tundras, deserts, forests, even floating sky islands, and crossing the whole thing takes literal hours. The combat is the real star. It's fast, physical, and endlessly flexible. You can grapple enemies, fling them into bandit camps, weave in magical abilities, and chain together combos that feel incredibly satisfying to pull off. There's even a camp building system that actually impacts your gameplay, not just decoration. Now, fair warning, the menus are clunky, the controls take some getting used to, and the main story isn't its strongest point. But as a pure sandbox to lose yourself in, few games this generation come close to its sheer scale and ambition. The middle entry in a trilogy rarely steals the show, but this one absolutely does. Rise of the Tomb Raider is the second game in Lara Croft's rebooted trilogy, and for my money, it's the strongest of the bunch. This time, Lara heads to the frozen wilderness of Siberia, hunting an artifact said to grant eternal life, with a shadowy organization called Trinity hot on her trail. And as the name promises, there are finally a lot more actual tombs to raid. These are massive, physics-based environmental puzzles, and solving them is some of the most satisfying gameplay the series has ever offered. The combat is flexible too. Go full stealth with a bow, kick the door in guns blazing, or blend the two on the fly. And the world itself is absolutely gorgeous. Easily one of the best-looking games of its era. The story's a little predictable, sure, but as a pure action-adventure package, Rise of the Tomb Raider is Lara at her absolute best.
Nothing means more to me than this game.
Red Dead Redemption 2 isn't just one of the best games of the last decade. For a lot of people, it's one of the greatest ever made, full stop. Set in the dying days of the Wild West in 1899, you play as Arthur Morgan, an outlaw riding with the Van der Linde gang as the world they know slowly closes in around them. And what Rockstar built here is almost unbelievable. The world is so detailed it feels alive. Animals hunt each other, strangers remember your face, your horse reacts to the cold. Nothing else comes close to this level of immersion. But the real magic is Arthur. His journey from hardened outlaw to something far more complex is one of the most moving character arcs gaming has ever produced. And by the end, it'll stay with you for a long, long time. Now, it's worth saying, it asks for your patience early on, but push through and you'll experience something unforgettable.
Goddamn tone.
Here's proof that you don't need a massive studio to create an absolute masterpiece. Hollow Knight was made by just 3 people at Team Cherry, and it's widely considered one of the greatest Metroidvanias ever made. You play as a tiny silent warrior descending into Hallownest, a vast, ruined kingdom of bugs hiding a tragic, long-buried mystery. The world is hand-drawn, hauntingly beautiful, and so densely interconnected that exploring it becomes a constant joy. Every corridor hides a secret, a new ability, or a brutal boss waiting to humble you. And it will humble you. The combat is precise and demanding, built around timing and patience rather than button mashing, with a charm system that lets you tailor your playstyle. Paired with Christopher Larkin's gorgeous, melancholic score, the whole thing is pure atmosphere. It can be tough, and it won't hold your hand, but for the price of a cheap dinner, you're getting dozens of hours of one of the finest games indie gaming has ever produced.
I'm taking delivery preparing.
Resident Evil 4 is the gold standard for how to bring a classic into the modern era. The original changed gaming forever back in 2005, and the remake managed to make it even better. You step into the boots of Leon Kennedy, a government agent sent to a creepy rural village in Europe to rescue the president's kidnapped daughter. What follows is a relentless blend of survival horror and pure action, fighting off crazed villagers, grotesque monsters, and some of the most memorable bosses in the series. The combat is the real draw. Tight, modern controls let you move and shoot freely, parry attacks with your knife, and sneak around for stealth kills. And that core gameplay loop is dangerously addictive. Add in stunning visuals from Capcom's RE engine, a perfectly paced campaign, and loads of replay value with Mercenaries and Ada's bonus chapter, and you've got not just one of the finest remakes ever made, but one of the best action games you can play right now, period.
Ahead! You're kidding.
You a Witcher?
Next up is The Witcher 3. If you ask people to name the greatest RPG ever made, this is the game that comes up more than any other. It set a benchmark for storytelling in open-world games that most studios are still chasing a decade later. You play as Geralt of Rivia, a gruff, monster-hunting mercenary searching a war-torn land for his adopted daughter. The world CD Projekt Red built is staggering. 3 massive regions absolutely packed with life, where even the smallest side quest can rival the main story of other games. That's what sets it apart. The writing is phenomenal, the choices are morally gray with consequences that actually matter, and the characters stay with you long after the credits roll. The combat can feel a little clunky, sure, but it's a minor gripe in an otherwise extraordinary package. And with 2 expansions widely regarded as some of the best DLC ever made, you're looking at well over 100 hours of pure quality.
The Wild Hunt tracked them down and found them there.
A dark, gothic retelling of Pinocchio as a brutal Souls-like? It sounds absurd on paper, but Lies of P is one of the best surprises in years. This is widely considered the finest Souls-like not made by From Software, and it's easy to see why. You play as P, a puppet created by Geppetto, awakening in the crumbling city of Krat, where the automatons have turned violent and a strange disease is twisting humans into monsters. The whole thing drips with Bloodborne-inspired atmosphere, eerie, elegant, and soaked in dread. Combat is the highlight. It's all about perfect parries and weapon timing, but the real twist is the weapon assembly system. You can mix and match blades and handles to build a custom weapon that fits your playstyle exactly. Your mechanical arm adds even more options, from grappling hooks to flamethrowers. And unlike most Souls games, the story is clear, gripping, and easy to follow. And true to the name, the lies you tell shape how it ends. For a debut Souls-like, this is seriously impressive.
Careful, clever one.
If you want a game that will absolutely destroy you and make you thank it for the privilege, welcome to Elden Ring. From Software took their punishing Dark Souls formula, handed the world building to George R.R. Martin, and blew the whole thing wide open into a massive fantasy landscape. You play as the Tarnished, exploring the lands between, a haunting open world packed with crumbling castles, hidden dungeons, and well over 50 bosses that exist purely to ruin your day. And yes, it's brutally hard. Enemies hit like trucks, and some bosses will kill you in 2 hits. But here's the clever part. Because it's open world, you're never truly stuck. Hit a wall, go explore somewhere else, get stronger, find a new weapon, and come back swinging. That freedom makes it the most approachable From Software game yet, without ever losing that signature challenge. The sense of discovery is unmatched. There's always something new just over the horizon. It demands patience, but conquering it delivers a high that hardly any other game can match.
This wasn't the world I wanted, but
Step out of the vault and into one of the most addictive post-apocalyptic playgrounds ever made. Fallout 4 takes the irradiated ruins of Boston and turns them into a wasteland you can lose yourself in for 100 hours. You wake up 200 years after the bombs fell, hunting for your kidnapped son. But honestly, the main story is just an excuse to explore. The Commonwealth is stuffed with environmental storytelling, weird characters, and creepy locations that beg to be picked apart. The gunplay is the best the series has ever had. The weapon and armor crafting is deep, and the settlement building system is so robust it could be its own game entirely. You can sink hours into just decorating a shack. Is it buggy? Absolutely. Is the dialogue more simplified than older Fallouts? Yep. But as a pure exploration sandbox, very few games will swallow your free time quite like this one.
Let's go, boy.
it's gonna be loud.
Here's a shooter that has no business being as good as it is. Wolfenstein: The New Order takes the oldest name in first-person shooters and turns it into one of the most surprisingly heartfelt single-player campaigns of the 2010s. The premise? The Nazis won World War II. You wake up in 1960 in a world they've conquered as series hero BJ Blazkowicz, and your job is to tear the whole regime down, one dual-wielded shotgun at a time. What makes it special isn't just the gunplay, though that's fantastic. It's old-school run-and-gun blended with satisfying stealth. It's the story. Against all odds, you actually care about these characters. There's real emotion here, real darkness, surprising tenderness, all wrapped around the simple joy of mowing down Nazis. An early choice even splits the campaign into two timelines, giving you a reason to replay it. It's violent, it's pulpy, and underneath all that chaos, it's got more heart than almost any shooter out there. If you skipped it back in 2014, now's the time to fix that.
Shooting, stabbing, strangling Nazis.
You believe you cheated death.
Cyberpunk 2077 launched back in 2020 as a buggy, broken mess. And over the next few years, CD Projekt Red completely rebuilt it into the masterpiece it was always meant to be. You play as V, a mercenary trying to survive in Night City, a sprawling, brutal future metropolis where everyone's chasing money, power, or a way out. After a heist goes wrong, you end up sharing your head with Johnny Silverhand, a long-dead rock star voiced by Keanu Reeves, and the two of you are stuck together whether you like it or not. The story is dark, personal, and tense, with a literal countdown hanging over everything you do. And Night City might just be the best realized setting in any open-world game. The 2.0 update overhauled everything. The skill trees, the combat, the police system, and the Phantom Liberty expansion, starring Idris Elba, is widely regarded as one of the best DLCs ever made. Whether you want to be a stealthy netrunner or a chrome-plated tank, the build variety is fantastic. If you wrote this one off back in 2020, trust me, Night City is absolutely worth a second look now. Now trust me on this one. You've never played anything quite like NieR Automata. On the surface, it's a slick action game from Platinum Games, the studio that practically perfected stylish combat. But underneath, it's one of the most ambitious, philosophical stories the medium has ever told. You play as 2B, an android soldier fighting a war against machine life forms on a long-abandoned Earth. The combat is fast, fluid, and constantly shifting. 1 minute you're hacking enemies apart, the next the whole game transforms into a top-down shooter or a side-scroller. But here's the genius part. Finishing the game once is just the beginning. NieR Automata is built around multiple playthroughs, each one recontextualizing what you thought you understood, peeling back new layers until that unforgettable final ending hits you like a truck. Add in one of the greatest video game soundtracks ever composed, and you've got a strange, beautiful, and deeply moving experience unlike anything else out there. Go in blind. you won't regret it.
We take pride in our service.
You make every shot count.
Up next, we've got a game whose story is, for a lot of people, the pinnacle of storytelling in all of gaming, The Last of Us Part 1. Set 20 years after a fungal pandemic collapses society, you play as Joel, a hardened smuggler tasked with escorting a teenage girl named Ellie across a ruined, overgrown America. She might just be humanity's last hope. And what unfolds between them is a slow-burning, deeply human relationship that'll wreck you by the end. The gameplay is tense, brutal survival, scavenging for scraps, crafting makeshift weapons, and sneaking past terrifying, infected, and desperate humans alike. Every single encounter feels like it matters, and the constant scarcity keeps you on edge the entire way through. This 2022 remake rebuilds the original from the ground up with jaw-dropping visuals, smarter AI, and a brilliant suite of accessibility options. Now, is it a pricey way to replay a classic? For returning fans, maybe. But if you've never experienced this story, there's no better place to start.
I must finish what I started.
Winner of just about every Game of the Year award in 2023, Baldur's Gate 3 is the closest thing gaming has to sitting at a table with the world's best dungeon master. Built on Dungeons & Dragons rules, it throws you into the Forgotten Realms with an alien parasite in your skull that's slowly turning you into a monster. From there, the world is yours to break. The amount of player freedom here is borderline absurd. Almost every problem has a dozen solutions, and the game accounts for nearly all of them. Your choices truly matter. The turn-based combat is deep and tactical, and the companions you recruit are some of the best written characters in any RPG, with personal stories and romances that'll hook you completely. 2 playthroughs are never the same. It's massive, easily 100 hours, and that combat won't click with everyone, of course. But if you want the deepest, most reactive role-playing experience out there, this is the one to beat. This is the game that took a tired, button-mashing franchise and reinvented it into something extraordinary. God of War moves Kratos from Greek mythology to the brutal world of Norse legend and changes the series forever. Years after his rampage through Olympus, Kratos is older, quieter, and raising a young son named Atreus. When the boy's mother dies, the two set off to scatter her ashes from the highest peak in the realms. And that simple journey becomes one of the most powerful stories on PlayStation. The combat got a complete overhaul too. That Leviathan axe, which you hurl at enemies and call back to your hand like Thor's hammer, never gets old. And every swing lands with a brutal, bone-crunching impact. Atreus also backs you up with his bow, turning each fight into something you have to actually think your way through. But it's the father-son relationship that steals the show. Watching these two slowly understand each other, brought to life by Christopher Judge's incredible performance, is something special. An all-time great, plain and simple.
The self-control of the one who wields it.
Ever dreamed of being a Jedi? This is about as close as you can get. Star Wars Jedi Survivor is the sequel to Fallen Order, and it nails the fantasy of wielding a lightsaber better than any game before it. You're back in the role of Cal Kestis, a Jedi on the run during the dark reign of the Empire. By now he's older, stronger, and far more capable, and the combat reflects that. You can swap between 5 different lightsaber stances mid-fight, from a fast dual wield to a blaster and saber combo, and chaining together parries and force powers feels absolutely electric. It's also a proper adventure, blending Souls-like combat with Metroidvania exploration, tricky platforming, and sprawling planets stuffed with secrets. The story digs surprisingly deep too, anchored by a likable crew and a deeply emotional arc for Cal. It launched with some rough technical issues, no doubt, but patched up and played today, it's hands down one of the best Star Wars games ever made.
You know the trouble with an adventurous life?
Forget dragons, forget magic, forget chosen ones. This is a role-playing game grounded entirely in reality, and it's one of the very best of the decade. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 drops you into 15th century Bohemia. Real history, real places, and real historical figures, recreated with obsessive attention to detail. You play as Henry, a humble blacksmith's son swept up in a brutal medieval power struggle. And the realism here runs deep. You'll get hungry, you'll get filthy, your weapons will wear down, and your skills only improve by actually doing things. There are no shortcuts and no hand-holding. The combat is demanding and methodical, built around real sword-fighting techniques that punish button mashers hard. And the world reacts to everything. Commit a crime, and the locals will remember your face, hunt you down, and make you pay. It's definitely not for everyone. The systems can be unforgiving. But if you want the most authentic, immersive medieval RPG ever made, this is in a league of its own.
You'll have a long way to go till your work is done.
Now this might be the most underrated game on this entire list, and I'm talking about Prey, from the same studio behind Dishonored. It's a brilliant sci-fi adventure that deserved way more love than it got. You wake up aboard Talos 1, a striking Art Deco space station that's been overrun by a shape-shifting alien species called the Typhon. The smaller ones, called Mimics, can disguise themselves as any object. A mug, a chair, or a trash can. So before long, you'll be nervously eyeing every coffee cup in the room, wondering if it's about to sprout legs and attack you. What makes it shine is the freedom. This is a true immersive sim, meaning almost every problem has a dozen solutions. Hack it, sneak past it, build a bridge of foam, or turn yourself into a coffee mug to roll through a gap. The game lets you experiment endlessly. It is tense, inventive, and it's absolutely bursting with atmosphere. If you somehow missed this one, do yourself a favor and fix that immediately.
All lost.
Forget the hidden blades for a second. This game is all about the high seas. Assassin's Creed Black Flag is, hands down, the greatest pirate game ever made, and arguably the best Assassin's Creed 2. Set during the golden age of piracy, you play as Edward Kenway, a charming Welsh rogue captaining his own ship, the Jackdaw, across a sun-soaked open-world Caribbean. And sailing here is an absolute blast. You'll plunder enemy ships, board them mid-battle, harpoon sharks, hunt for buried treasure, and sing along to sea shanties with your crew. Upgrading the Jackdaw gives you a real sense of progression, and the world is packed with islands, reefs, and shipwrecks begging to be explored. The land missions can get repetitive, but out on the water, pure swashbuckling bliss. And here's the kicker. A full ground-up remake is dropping July 9th, with overhauled visuals, fresh new content, and 10 brand new sea shanties. There's just never been a better time to set sail. Now, if Elden Ring didn't break you, From Software has another challenge waiting. Sekiro Shadows Die Twice trades the RPG stats and builds for something purer, raw, unfiltered skill. Set in a dark, reimagined version of 16th century Japan, you play as Wolf, a one-armed shinobi armed with a katana and a prosthetic arm loaded with deadly gadgets. But this isn't about dodging and rolling. Sekiro's combat is all about the deflect, parrying enemy strikes at the perfect moment to shatter their posture and land a single, brutal, killing blow. When it clicks, sword fighting here feels like a deadly dance. It is punishingly hard, with no difficulty options and a learning curve like a brick wall. But there's no grinding your way past a tough boss. You simply have to get better. And the moment you finally master a fight you've died to 30 times, that feeling is unique. It's not a game for everyone, but for those willing to push through, it's one of the most satisfying action games ever made.
From you, my boy. Sir.
Scans indicate this location.
Next up, we got Subnautica, a game you might want to skip if you've got a fear of deep water or lean all the way in. It's widely considered the best survival game ever made, and it's set almost entirely underwater on a beautiful, terrifying alien ocean planet. After your ship crash lands, you're left with a single life pod in a vast, mysterious sea to explore. The core loop is simple but addictive. Dive down, gather resources, craft better gear, build underwater bases, and use it all to venture deeper and deeper into the darkness. Oxygen is your lifeline, and watching that meter tick down while you're far from the surface is nerve-wracking. The world is breathtaking, full of glowing biomes and strange sea life. But lurking in the depths are massive creatures called leviathans, big enough to swallow your submarine whole. Hardly any game balances serenity and pure dread this well. There's also an unexpectedly gripping story hidden beneath it all, slowly revealed as you piece together what really happened here. Honestly, it's a phenomenal ride. Just don't blame me when you're too scared to swim back down.
You are a samurai.
Ghost of Tsushima drops you into 13th century Japan during the brutal Mongol invasion, and it's one of the most beautiful games ever made. You play as Jin Sakai, a proud samurai watching his home overrun and his code of honor become a liability. To save his island, he has to become something new, the Ghost, trading honorable open duels for stealth, fear, and whatever it takes to win. The combat is the highlight. You'll switch between sword stances on the fly, each suited to a different enemy type, and standoffs let you stare a foe down before cutting them in half in a single strike. It's pure samurai cinema. The open world can feel a little formulaic, and the side content gets repetitive. But the atmosphere more than makes up for it. There's no cluttered mini-map, just the wind itself guiding your path past swaying grass and falling leaves. It's one of the most visually striking games ever.
Peter, it's time to get up.
Marvel's Spider-Man from Insomniac isn't your typical superhero game. It drops you into the life of a more experienced Peter Parker, juggling everyday struggles with the weight of protecting an entire city. And the swinging? It's the star of the show. Insomniac built a fully physics-based traversal system that turns soaring through a sprawling recreation of New York City into pure, free-flowing joy. You'll lose hours just web-slinging between skyscrapers without a single objective in mind. It feels that good. The combat is fluid and acrobatic, mixing punches, gadgets, and web-based takedowns into a rhythm that flows beautifully. And the story really delivers. This isn't an origin tale, but a seasoned Peter Parker facing a heartbreaking conflict with one of his closest friends, and it builds to one of the best finales in any superhero story. Toss in a city packed with secrets, suit unlocks, and satisfying side missions, and you've got a complete package. Simply put, no game has ever made being a superhero feel this good. There's flashy combat, and then there's Devil May Cry 5. This is Capcom's finest hack and slash. A game built entirely around looking as ridiculously cool as humanly possible while slaughtering demons. The whole thing is about style. Every fight is graded in real time, rewarding you for chaining together long, varied combos without taking a single hit. Pull it off, and you'll climb from a measly D rank all the way up to a screaming SSS. It turns every encounter into a performance. You'll play as 3 wildly different characters: Nero and his swappable prosthetic arms, the mysterious V who fights using 3 demon familiars, and the legendary Dante, who can swap between sword, guns, and styles on the fly, and even beat demons to death with 2 halves of a motorcycle. It's loud, it's flashy, it's gloriously over the top, and the combat is some of the deepest and most satisfying ever made. Pure adrenaline from start to finish. Dishonored from Arcane Studios is a first-person stealth action game built almost entirely around player freedom, and it remains one of the finest in the genre. You play as Corvo Attano, a royal bodyguard framed for the murder of the Empress, out for revenge in the plague-ridden, steampunk city of Dunwall. And the way you get that revenge is completely up to you. Granted a set of supernatural powers like teleportation, possession, slowing time, summoning swarms of rats, you can ghost through entire levels without being seen, or carve a bloody path straight through the front door. That choice has weight though. The more chaos you cause, the darker the world becomes around you. The levels are intricate playgrounds with countless routes, making it endlessly replayable. Now the plot is the weakest link, but everything around it is so good it barely matters. Few games let you feel this much like the architect of your own mayhem. There's a running joke that Bethesda has re-released this game on every device known to man. Your phone, your fridge, probably your microwave by now. And the reason is simple. Skyrim is one of the greatest open-world RPGs ever made. You are the Dragonborn, a hero with the soul of a dragon, prophesied to save the land from Alduin, a giant dragon hell-bent on devouring the world. But the main quest is just the beginning. The real draw is the freedom to be whoever you want. Want to be a noble hero? Go for it. A sneaky thief, a hired assassin, a master mage, or even a werewolf or vampire, all on the table. You can shout dragons out of the sky, explore endless dungeons, get married, buy a house. The world is entirely yours to shape. And with the most dedicated modding community in gaming, there's truly no end to it. Over a decade later, people are still getting lost in Skyrim. And now you understand why. Now make sure the lights are on for this one. Dead Space is a sci-fi survival horror classic, and the 2023 remake takes an already terrifying game and makes it absolutely petrifying. You play as engineer Isaac Clarke, sent to investigate a massive mining ship called the Ishimura that's gone dark. What you find is a nightmare. The crew has been slaughtered and twisted into grotesque monsters called necromorphs, and you're now trapped on board with them. And here's the twist. You can't just shoot these things in the head. To kill a necromorph, you have to strategically dismember it, slicing off its limbs with repurposed mining tools. With ammo and health always scarce, every encounter becomes a tense, desperate fight for survival. The remake is a masterclass in atmosphere, spine-chilling 3D sound, haunting visuals, and a seamless ship you explore with 0 loading screens, all in one unbroken take. The dread never lets up. So if you love being scared out of your mind, this is horror at its absolute finest. If you only play one sci-fi epic in your lifetime, make it this one. The Mass Effect trilogy, bundled together in the Legendary Edition, is widely regarded as one of the greatest RPG series ever created. You play as Commander Shepard, humanity's best hope against the Reapers, an ancient race of machines determined to wipe out all life in the galaxy. Across 3 games, you'll travel the stars, recruit a remarkable crew of humans and aliens, and fight to unite a fractured galaxy against an unstoppable threat. But the choices are where it shines. Decisions you make in the first game ripple all the way into the third, shaping who lives, who dies, and how your entire story unfolds. The bonds you form with your squad, and yes, the romances, make it deeply personal. The combat is a solid cover shooter that gets better with each entry, but it's the storytelling and characters that have kept people obsessed for over a decade. If you love RPGs, this one is essential.
Well, daughter of Hades.
Next on the list is a roguelike that answers one simple question. Will you happily replay the same game hundreds of times? With Hades 2, the answer is an emphatic yes. Supergiant's sequel takes everything great about the original and somehow makes it bigger and better. This time you play as Milenoe, princess of the underworld, on a quest to defeat Kronos, the titan of time. The structure is classic roguelike. Battle through waves of enemies, die, learn, and come back stronger for the next attempt. And every single run feels different. That's thanks to the boons, powerful blessings from the gods of Olympus that you stack and combine into wildly creative builds. One run, you're hurling lightning. The next, you're freezing everything in sight. But what truly sets Hades apart is the storytelling. The world is fully voiced, hand-drawn, and packed with characters you'll grow to love. Pair that with a phenomenal soundtrack and razor-sharp writing, and you've got a game that's funny, heartfelt, and quite possibly the best roguelike ever made. And that's the list. If I missed a single-player gem you think deserves a spot, drop it in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, a like and subscribe is much appreciated. See you guys on the next one.